what a great job by Cedric Maxwell last night. From the get off social media to the basketball gods rooting against the Celtics, setting the record for three-pointers made in their opener. That's how that game ended last night. But we are going to start with some Celtics here on Wednesday, October 23rd. Maz and Big Jim Murray alongside in our Town Fair Tire Studios. How you guys doing?
Good, you?
Excellent.
So
Hi.
what was your takeaway from all those three-pointers, how it ended, them going for the record, them not getting the record, etc., Maz?
Okay, so let me start with the obvious. That when they are on their game and healthy and everyone's engaged, it's an assault is what it is. It's an assault. I just asked Murray this off the air. Murray, you played the game Missile Command growing up?
Yes, I'm old enough to remember
Okay,
that.
that's what it's like watching the Celtics play. It's
Just
freaking
raining
Missile
down.
Command.
Yeah.
You just fire all over the place and try to make sure nothing gets through. In their case, you're trying to hit targets. And it really is. It was just it was an aerial assault. And they were making a ridiculous percentage of shots, and they are clearly, the best team in the league, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all of which we knew. So they can blow teams out of the building like nobody's business. And yet, by the end of it, I found myself saying during the course of the game, can you play this way for a whole season and win? Like, Mike, do you remember the Paul Westhead Lakers or Loyola Marymount? I'm going back many, many years now. But the whole concept of the offense was, we're going to beat you 190 to 150. Not that the Celtics play no defense, but we are going to go fast, 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 score, score, score. We're just going to turn it into a video game. I sort of feel that that's what the Celtics have done, that they've turned it into a video game. And again, when the shots go in, given the talent they have, you can't keep up. Nobody can keep up. They just have too many options.
Yeah, I mean, just for an example, last night, the Knicks shot well.
Right.
They shot well from the floor.
And they got smoked.
Because the dummies took too many two-pointers.
I mean, really, they got blown out of the building.
And I'm saying that half sarcastically, but you were shooting threes, they were shooting twos. Someone once told us, math works.
Exactly. And yet, when you got to the end of the game and that calamity that Max just described, I will also say it's one thing to sort of beat the opponent senseless and blow them out of the building. When you start sort of, and I use this lightly, but maybe not, mocking the sport and really like trying to completely humiliate the game by doing things that people have never done, when that happens, I start to worry because I wonder about what your motivation is and what you're really out to do.
Well, it was unnatural the way that they were trying to get the record. I mean, it's 0 for 13 for 8 straight minutes. Sweet poetic justice is what happened there, that they didn't end up breaking it. Now, look, if you were in the building like Jay Stu was and you enjoyed it, like, go nuts. Like, that's fine. I can understand why people were, like, whooped up with it and, booing when, the clock ran out and they're like, they didn't break it. I get that. For me, it does nothing for me. I find it childish. I frankly thought that last 8 minutes was embarrassing.
So, I have a lot of thoughts on it. I'm not outraged that they went for the record. You should. You might as well. I mean, as long as it's in the course of play and the run of play and how you're playing the game, which is definitely how they were, I think, there was obviously a breaking point there. Maybe it was the Jordan Walsh air ball where you say, all right, like, what are we really doing here? I mean, they shot 61 three-pointers in the game. 61. So for them to close that game by shooting a bunch of three-pointers wasn't like that unusual. And I don't mind them going for the record. I thought it was an excellent call, whoever made it, to have Peyton Pritchard dribble out that last 24 seconds. Tremendous. Because at some point, and again, maybe it was the Jordan Walsh 3, although I know that came, several possessions before. But at some point, I think even the Celtics said, we're messing with this. Who told Pritchard to dribble out that 24-second clock?
I heard it was Al Horford.
Where'd you hear that?
Well, I can't tell you that.
That circulated on the internet last night.
How did that circulate on the internet? Wait, Max, can you give me Max again, please? Just feed this to me.
Things show up there, Mike. I don't know.
I mean, this can be a running theme throughout the course of the day. My life.
Get off social media.
Oh, my God.
Get off social media.
Get off your effing phone for a second. I'm sorry, but your phone told you it was Al Horford.
Yeah.
Because without it, you'll miss news. So,
Again, I will get to later.
And to back up Maz, if you were watching the bench, you could see Al Horford kind of like telling them to tone it down.
Yeah, so again, I couldn't see Horford on the TV. I had sort of heard that.
I was in the building, so I saw it.
No, I believe Jimmy. I think it was Horford who said, guys, enough. Like, let's just... And I give Horford credit for that.
There was also a point late in the game where Missoula called a timeout or was a TV timeout, and then the next time down, like Hauser shot a 2 instead of a 3, so maybe there was something said in there too.
So you're saying it was Al Horford, not John Wooden. I mean,
Joe Mazzulla?
Joe Mazzulla there.
I love Joe Mazzulla.
Yes, it was Al Horford.
It was Al Horford.
Yeah, and which makes sense in a lot of ways because, again, Horford's been around a long time. Took him a long time to win a championship. He's got a certain humility to him, respect for the game, got a quality guy.
He's
like
the
all that.
consummate professional.
He is like the ultimate pro. But yes, the short answer is my understanding is it was Horford.
Were the Celtics kind of messing with the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's and if you don't know what we're talking about, just quickly, they shot the effing lights out from like the first possession in this game last night where Jason Tatum was left alone at the deep elbow and he buried it. And then basically they just kept shooting threes and they never missed. I mean, that's basically how I would just sum up the game. And if I'm being honest, I missed the whole thing in the fourth quarter because I turned it off when they're up 30 because me and NBA blowouts, I can't do them. So I've gone back and pieced it all together. But that's basically what happened. They just started shooting threes. They didn't miss, and they ran them out of the gym. Bombs away. 61 three-point attempts to the point where they were one off the NBA record at halftime for makes, and then they were one off the NBA record at the end of the game for makes in a game, 29. And
they had 9 minutes to make one 3-point shot to break the record.
So with 9 minutes left, early in the fourth, they tied it or were one short?
No,
they tied the record with one.
They tied it with basically early in the quarter and then spent the rest of the quarter trying to break it. Until the very last possession, they got the ball north of the 24-second clock.
35 seconds left to go in the game.
And Peyton Pritchard just dribbled it out and took the shot clock violation, which I thought was an excellent call. Excellent.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Max. What was that again about my phone and social media?
Get off social media. Get off social media.
Oh, thank you, Max. So that's what happened, and I think whoever ordered, Pritchard to keep it in his pants on that last possession, really good call. Really showed me something.
Yeah. So again, it's just and look, they are, some of their backup players, for lack of a better term, have gotten a little bit better, and they improved as the year went on. Yeah, so I'm talking about Hauser and Pritchard and those guys. So they really have like 7 or 8 guys that can shoot, really. So when you get them all going at once, it's just an attack. I mean, and it's if you're the other team, it's demoralizing. The Knicks were one of the better defensive teams in the league last year. Not that they have the same roster now.
They played no defense last night.
No, none, 0. And the Celtics just sat out on the perimeter, fired the ball around, and they moved the ball well too. Like, I want to give the Celtics credit for that. Their ball movement was good. They passed. So when you have that many guys who can shoot and they're passing, I mean, that was just a blitz. It was unbelievable.
How do you feel about 61 three-point attempts?
So I think at some point you're sort of taunting the sport.
I find it repulsive, but this is what the game is now, and they have the talent to do it, so go nuts.
I think you're asking for trouble at that level.
I mean, at some point I do feel, and it's not scientific, but I feel like you're kind of, tempting the fates.
Well,
that's how I feel.
No one shoots like that in the postseason. There's one team that has shot like that in the postseason and rode it to a championship, and that's Golden State. I don't include you last year because you didn't shoot great from beyond the line in the playoffs. You didn't need to shoot 3-pointers to win. Golden State's part of their game. So that's like the one team. And I think if that, so I'm split. I don't think it's totally wrong and let me stop and rephrase. There's an element to it that I appreciate and I think is right for Joe Mazzulla. And what I think Joe Mazzulla's approach is unless you're trying to get better, you're either staying the same or getting worse. So there's only one direction to go. So last year the Celtics had the best record in the league, a top 5-point differential in the history of the league, and weren't challenged on the way to a championship. And I think it'd be really easy to say, we're just going to come back and do the exact same thing. And Mazzulla's not doing that. He's saying, nope. Either you're getting better or you're getting worse, and even though it was hard for us to be any better than we were last year, we're going to try. And so I think that's a healthy thing. That's a good thing. I give Mazzulla credit for that. I just wish it wasn't the 3-pointer being the avenue that they're going to do it by. I just think you fall into bad habits when that's how you play. Bad shots. There's nights it's not going to go. In the playoffs, invariably, they're going to come out and challenge you on the line. Last year, you shot well from beyond the line, but it wasn't like that's how you won, and there weren't any close games to see if it impacted you. There were games against the Heat the year before and the Warriors the year before where you shot yourself out of games. And Jason Tatum, I feel, shoots himself out of his game out there. And it's not enough to lead the league in three-point attempts, which you did last year by you led the league in three-point attempps last year by a healthy margin.
It was like 5 shots or something.
It was like between 3 and 5 shots a game over the second team, which is a lot. And you're saying, well, no, that's not enough. Now we're going to go from 42 a game to 62 a game? That's not how I would try and get better. But again, that whole approach of we're not just going to stay stagnant. We're going to do something to get better and evolve. I'm into that. That generally speaking, that's right. But the three-pointers, I think you're asking for trouble by shooting that many.
I mean, look, again, it's when you go to the extreme that they have gone, that's what you feel. The one variable to me, I think they said the record, Jimmy, who held the record? Houston with her attempts in a game, I think it was. Houston, that had to be the James Harden Rockets.
Sure.
It had to be. D'Antoni ball like the whole 9 yards. So all I'm getting at is those teams didn't win championships. Now, the difference with the Celtics is that they have guys who can play defense. So that when the game changes in the playoffs, at least last year, they were able to win it a different way. They were able to hold the Mavericks under 100 points and win a lot of those games, or in the low 100s. So that makes them unique. But I don't think they're winning because of the threes. I think they're winning because of the other things. And that they have the best players who can play multiple parts of the game. That's sort of how I take it. I thought last night was really again, I sort of feel like you're kind of mocking the sport. It got a little like that. Am I nuts to say that? If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.